Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of جلسة Crypto. In this unpredictable, fast-changing market, it's very important to listen to people that have different perspectives. Voices that help us and the community be prepared for all possible scenarios. That's why today we have a very special guest, Fefe from Crypto Banter. Fefe is known for his unique takes and sharp insights. But before we start, remember, everything shared in today's episode is not financial advice, rather than personal opinions meant to help us better understand and navigate the crypto landscape. Without further ado, we'd like to welcome Fefe. Welcome to Bed with Crypto, Fefe. It's really a pleasure having you on the channel.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. How's it going?
Very well, very well. You recently made some bold predictions. You said that bull market is over and that we're in the bear market. Everyone wants to know, is it over? Are we officially in the bear market or is it just a deep correction?
So I think we need to define. This is what a lot of debate is coming from with people even that I'm very close with, is that how do you define a bear market? So to know whether we are in a bear market or not comes down to your definition. For me, a 70% drawdown, even if it takes 2 weeks, is a bear market. So if you consider a bear market as a 4-year cycle, 2-year-long bear market, no, I don't think we're in a bear market. Can your coins go down 70-80% in the next 3 to 6 months? Definitely. So for me, the reason why I said we are in a bear market is because we have lost some major levels on the chart. I don't see any catalyst or any narratives that would bring new money in sustainably. And so that means that I do believe that in the next 3 to 6 to 8 months, we are in a bear market where we're not going to have, so I also define the bear market as, can you buy the dip blindly, right? So if you're in a bull market, you know that there are corrections, 5, 15, 20, 30% corrections. But then you just buy the dip blindly. And this is what we've seen throughout 2025. You just buy the dip blindly, But now this time, I do not advise anyone to buy the dip blindly, because the dip might dip further and you will need to buy the dip of the dip of the dip.
You're pretty much, you're buying a falling knife. That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. And you don't know how far that knife is falling or how low that's falling. That's the difference between having a bull market and having a bear market.
Okay. You mentioned something just now. You mentioned we lost certain things that made you believe that we're going in a bear market for the foreseeable future, in your opinion. What
Yes.
On the chart, what did we lose? What levels did we lose that made you reach that conclusion? Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, let me just share my screen here. So can you see my screen?
Yep, okay. We can.
So a couple of things. This is the post that I made on my X. It's actually pinned on there, so it's still visible. And I said that the bull market is over. My trigger for a full exit has always been the same for years: a break in daily structure on the total market cap. So if anybody is following my content or know who I am, I follow the daily in the daily updates as well. I follow the total market cap, and the reason why I do that is because the total market cap shows us exactly what is happening in the market overall. And yes, there is like 6, 7, 8% stable coins which could be taken under consideration, but I'm happy with that margin. So ultimately what happened, if you look back, and I can show you it on every single token, and I'm going to show it in Bitcoin as well. But if you look back, what happened in 2021 November is the exact same thing. The moment we lost, and this was a big final blow off top. So we lost the market structure here. You have to understand that markets move in waves, right? So you have lows, you have highs, you have lower lows, lower highs, and this is basically a market structure. And you have that on the weekly, you have that on the daily, you have that on the 5 minute, the 1 minute. And once you see that a strong, this means that there is demand here that pushes higher. There is a little bit of supply, but this supply is not enough to break the demand that we've had down here. This is why the market operates as it operates. And so once you see that the supply is strong enough to overtake the demand on a very high time frame chart, for example, a daily or the weekly, that shows you that there are much more people or much more selling pressure than buying pressure. And if you see that on a weekly level, that is a massive red flag. So if you look here, what you can see is that in 2021, we have seen this level play out here in May, where there was a break below. And even here, it's a very clear break below. Even here, we had a 33% correction on the total market cap and even more on most of your favorite coins. And then a final push. And the reason why I call this a final push, because if you think about it, from the total high, there was only a 13-14% miss to that. So if you did nothing, but you sold once the break happened, you sold 50% of your bag, and you sold 50% once you got to the retrace, you missed out on a 14% move, but you also missed out on a 75% correction. Now, this very similar pattern is playing out here. Exact same pattern. And I want to show it on Bitcoin actually, because it's much more visible in comparison to 2021 and now. So if you look here, this is 2021 November. There is something called AMD, which is accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Smart money and big money usually uses this concept. What they usually do is that they accumulate, meaning that they create an infrastructure, create a picture for people to buy into their narrative. They push the price. This is the manipulation, which everybody believes will go higher. Bitcoin is at 66,000. I've been here for 3 cycles now. I've seen it all. At 20,000 in 2017. Oh my God, we're going to 100. At 60,000, we're going to 300, and now at 125, we're going to 300 again, or 600, or a million. So, but this plays out manipulation, and that's followed by what happened here in my chart. That's followed by a massive distribution, and this is what's happening. Bitcoin, after breaking below the daily low here, went down 60% or whatever that might be, 60%. The exact same pattern is playing out here. The exact same. I even have my short here, but it's the exact same pattern playing out here. So you have. It's almost identical than what we've seen in 2021, and let me just pull this ghost candle here so you see. So you can pull this accumulation and then distribution phrase, and it's exactly basically what we can see now. So losing this daily level is definitely something that I've been waiting for a long time. It did not happen throughout this entire year and last year. It happened last time in 2021 when the top was in. But if you look at this, yes, it's smaller because of the whole measure, but it's the exact same thing. You've got a push, you've got accumulation, the final push close above, and then a distribution, and then a distribution. So last time this happened, Bitcoin went down 60%. I don't want to be here when that happens. It's also very important to note that I do not believe, this is one of the big arguments against me from the bears, is that, so you think we're going down, for 2 years? No. So I do not think that the bear market is going to last, 2 years, and then we're going to just go down for 2 years, and then after 2 years, we're going to find the bottom 60% lower on Bitcoin and 80% on alts. No, I think Bitcoin is decoupling, and that means that I think Bitcoin as an asset class matured enough to be treated much more as an S&P or a NASDAQ or a gold, and will decouple from all these shit coins that we have, which is absolutely useless. 99% have no utility, have nothing basically other than a big VC behind them, and the 90% drawdown on the chart. So I do think Bitcoin will decouple. I do think Bitcoin can either make a new high or just chop between 80,000 and 125 while the market is bleeding down to, maybe 60, 70% from the top. And I'm not that far off. So if you look at, I'm actually long Solana now for a scalp trade, but if you look at Solana, for example, since the top in here, Solana is down about 45%. If you look at majority of the tokens, just the last month, we're talking about Render 38, Pengu 50, we're talking about Aptos 42, Aster 50, Ton 30, Arbitrum 34, Sui 42. So Bonk, that was the pump fund killer, down 37. So yeah, it's not looking good. And one more thing that I can add to this whole thing is that I want people who are in disbelief and they're still calling for higher, is that my whole thesis here was that we have a final push. So if you're gonna read my post, I think we're gonna link my X in the description as well. You can go and read it. I say that we have one final push into the daily OB, because that's exactly what happened previously as well. So I do believe that we're going to have a push into this daily OB at 4.79 trillion. And that's when euphoria comes in, and that's when everybody will call for higher, and that's when we're going to distribute crazy. And even if we go higher, I'm potentially going to miss, as I said, maybe a 14, 15% move. And I'm happy with that.
From the top. From the top, you mean? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Of course, first of all the links are going to be for the channel. He's with Crypto Banter. The Crypto Banter links are going to be below. His X link is going to be below. Everything's going to be below in the description. just to confirm, are you currently fully out of the market on the investment on the spot? You do leverage, you
No.
do trading. Are you fully out on spot or no?
No, so I do have, so on the 18th, actually in this post and also in the community, I said that I sold 50% of my bags. So I sold, so I'm in two ways, right? One is that I have Bitcoin that I don't touch. I'm very young, I have a long way to go. So I just simply don't touch that Bitcoin. I have that there. I keep it there. I don't touch it. I add to it actually every month. So I have, when I have extra income, whatever, I'll add much less now, but I'm not selling my Bitcoin. So we'll see if we have the pullback. I'm probably going to sell some if we're going to go all the way. And again, we're going to hit the highs. But because I believe Bitcoin will decouple, I'm not selling Bitcoin or not much or not now. We'll see. On the 18th of October, I sold 50%. I sold every risky position that I had, meaning all the memes, cleared out my Phantom wallet, like all the shit that I had, I just sold. So that's out. And then I have Solana and ETH. So I'm Bitcoin, Solana, ETH, but Bitcoin is basically 80% of my holdings. So, and I did sell 50% of my Solana and 50% of my ETH. So I'm still waiting for that final push to happen. I have two main scenarios. Either we're gonna push, and a lot of people say like, you have to tell me where the market is going now. There's no one in the world that can tell you where the market is going now. We as traders, our job is to be reactive to the market. So, and I have a theory. My theory is if we push from here, we're down in the weekly OB. So like, this is the weekly demand zone. If we lose this, is GG. Like, that's it. Like if we lose this down here, it means that we're gonna come down all the way to this, which is gonna be the monthly. We're going to come all the way down here in the monthly, and we are potentially going to reversal. So my target is actually 257 on the total market cap, to 2.57 trillion. That would be a sufficient enough drawdown. So that would be like a 40% drawdown from the top on the total. I think the industry is mature enough to weather that, especially Bitcoin dominance will spike to above 70%. So I think talking about this, I think what's going to happen is that we're eventually going to get here down. Two scenarios. Either we push to the daily OB now, and then reject and go down. I think that's much more likely because more people need to be euphoric, more people need to deploy back, more people need to bring their money back, need to feel that they missed the run and whatever. Or we just simply do what we did in 2021, is just simply nuke. Like there is no retrace. Like if you look here, there was no retrace on the daily on the last dip here. So if you look at this, the moment we closed below here, the retrace actually didn't come back to all the way to the daily OB up here. It only retraced to the local OB, which is up here, and then from there on, it just followed the market structure. Look at this here also. This is a very strong level. It came back up here, came back up, and then simply rejected until it made a high here, and then it made a high here, and then it was the bull market again. But it can happen that we just simply nuke from here and follow the daily market structure and then just go down. I think it's rather unlikely compared to the scenario where we push here and then reject. But I'm not a fortune teller. I actually don't know. We have to see.
Look, I'm with you. Like, unless the stock market crashes or the tech bubble crashes, then the crypto is gonna follow it, or another major war explodes.
Yeah.
That could happen. Look, I'm with you on I've done similar moves that you did. I have to be honest. I got out of anything risky. I've always had more than half of my wallet Bitcoin. That's been since the bear market, and it was the best decision I've made. That's what kept me afloat the whole bull market, because alts didn't perform as well as they should have in a historical market. But so I'm out of high risk. I still have Sol, I still have ETH, I still have Bitcoin. I have a good chunk of cash ready to deploy. I haven't deployed in a lot. I nibbled a little bit recently, but haven't deployed fully. All right, let me just let's say it's over. We're going, as you say, in a bear market. Where do you see the Bitcoin bottom, and what time frame do you give it roughly? Of course, not financial advice, nothing confirmed here. We're just probability. We know that. So.
Yeah, so very, very important. I'm also on Crypto Banter, but I'm also doing my updates on my own channel. It's called the 100x Club. And the reason why I do these daily 5 to 10 minute updates is because no one knows what is going to happen. If you'd make one video a month, I can tell you're going to miss the whole thing because 100%. It's like you have to follow it through. So the reason I can tell you what I think specifically about Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is very, very, very strong relative to the market. It has been for the entire year. And if you did nothing else but held Bitcoin, you probably would be much better off than playing around with everything else. So if you consider the fact that Bitcoin, I believe that Bitcoin decoupled. That's what I believe. I think Bitcoin decoupled from the market, and it's not going to have these 80% drawdowns that it had. If I look at 2021 and I say, what was the drawdown on Bitcoin? I can look at this and be 77%. Bitcoin went from 69,000 all the way down here to 15,000. It's absolutely crazy.
Even the first one when Elon Musk sold or Tesla sold or stopped accepting it, that drop, if you remember, was around 50. It was from 64 till 28 from memory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Exactly. Something like that. Let me just see. That was the first, that was the signal here.
Yeah, that pullback, yeah.
April. Even that is like 60%, yeah. So I want to believe that this is not going to happen. I mean, if you look at this is 2021 April. So the market is at 2021 April. The market itself was at 2.5 trillion, being at least 60% Bitcoin dominance or something like that. So we can actually look at that as well. So 2021 April Bitcoin dominance. Let me just see what it was. I'm actually keen seeing it. 2021 April. Yeah, about 60%. Yeah, about 60% Bitcoin dominance. So that means Bitcoin was around what 1.5 trillion at market cap. So I think Bitcoin now matured enough to comparatively to the industry and comparative to the macro landscape, matured enough to weather these storms. So looking at Bitcoin, I think the lowest we will go, and this is generally what I believe, is the 75 to 80,000 region. I don't think that we are going to go lower than that. So and that would be about a 40%, 35-40% drawdown from the top. I think that's like the worst case scenario. Again, considering that it's a healthy bull market correction, bear market-ish, tied in with the stock market. So it's not like a new war, it's not a World War III, it's not all that stuff. It's like a normal. Yeah, exactly. So if the bubble bursts, on which will, Nvidia is at 5 trillion, absolutely unsustainable. So I think once that bursts, I think we're going to have a drawdown, and I actually think Bitcoin is going to behave very much as a safer asset. We do have a lot of institutions buying now. We do have governments buying now. We do have treasuries buying now. So I think Bitcoin will hold very well relatively. And so what I believe, and I also made this post. I said, I actually don't know where I said it, but I said that it's going to be I believe that we need to see the Jerome Powell out before we can see anything else. So what I really want to see that in May, Jerome Powell is out on 2026 May. Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, and once he is out, Trump will put in someone extremely dovish. They will cut rates 50%, and the $7 trillion that's sitting on the sideline will not have sufficient interest on that 7 trillion, and they will need to flow into risk assets. And I do think that some of that money will ripple into crypto or ripple down to crypto, and that could potentially ignite a big rally in between Q2 Q4 next year before a massive crash. So I do believe that my target is chop at least this year, chop or down to max 75 on Bitcoin. And I do believe that Q1 is going to be probably the best buying opportunity for everything, Q1, Q2, and then ride it till Q3, Q4. That's what I believe in, but we have to take it step by step.
Okay. So in reality, you like I've heard Raoul Pal. I don't know if you follow him much.
Yeah, of course.
He's mentioning a lot of talk about the 5-year business cycle, how it's extended. So even though if we correct now, we're gonna push towards next year, and his expectation is like first or second quarter of next year. That's where the full bull run finishes, and then we're gonna crash after that. So your thesis is we're going to correct, move sideways or correct this until end of the year, then early next year. So there'll be a new Fed chair. there be the election. So I'm assuming Donald Trump is going to print some money or he's going to calm down. Let's call it, because
the midterms.
The midterms are coming as well. So they're going to probably print money or stabilize the economy as much as they could to get the markets pumping. So yeah, it could work out, to be honest. So there's a lot of...
Yeah, I think... No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a lot of things falling in place towards that time frame.
Yeah, so Raul, I think he's been always a perma bull, you know. So I like him. He's such a cool guy. I think, and he's obviously much more knowledgeable in macroeconomy than I am. But what I believe is happening is that you will see. So there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle, and you can say whether that's conspiracy theory or not or whatever. But if you really consider the fact that there is over $7 trillion sitting at money managers, yielding 4.5% in interest, and Bitcoin is basically, compared to last year, Bitcoin is where it was. If you look at last year, December, we're exactly the same price. I mean, why would they risk if they can just yield 4.5%? But that changes. And so once that changes, these guys are the people who rule the world. You know what I mean? I mean, this is smart money. This is not retail investors putting their $1,000 in. These guys know exactly what they do. They know exactly what they have to do, and they're not going to top blast. They're not going to go and say, oh, okay, NASDAQ is at all-time high. Great, I'm going to deploy $7 trillion. No, they have to drive the price back down. And the way to do that is to actually prepare, create a massive bubble, or create a massive which is happening now, euphoria in the stock market. Oh my God, NVIDIA is here. OpenAI is making $13 billion and they're going IPO at $1 trillion. Are you kidding me? It's not sustainable. It's simply not sustainable. So there has to be a crash, and that crash will trap retail, and the smart money yet again will deploy on the bottom and ride it all the way up. And exactly as you say, midterms are coming. JP is going to be out. And I do think that after the correction, the bull market is going to be going into a very, very big rally going into the second half of Trump's term. I genuinely believe, yeah.
All right. I have a thesis on that. I'm gonna get to it in a second. This cycle is a bit different to previous cycles. We didn't see a big rotation into alts. What do you think the reason is?
I think we did. But it was, I mean, if you consider the fact that Trump, the president, launches a meme coin and it goes to 80 billion, I mean, that's like money, you know? It's not just so I know what you're saying.
Like a handful of coins that get benefited from it. Majority didn't.
That's exactly the point. So I think, so in previous cycles, been here since 2016, what happens is that people come in, they buy Bitcoin, they make money on Bitcoin because the halving is, you know, Bitcoin is picking up and everybody's talking about how scarce it is and whatever. They make money, they think they're geniuses, they deploy down to, like in 2017, we had 2,000 tokens, right? So they deploy money into that 2,000 tokens, and you could literally just close your eyes, throw darts, buy anything, and you would be up 200% the next day because of this ripple down effect. 2021 was similar, but we had much more coins, and there were a lot of coins that didn't recover. If you look at, like, I can look at, if you can share my screen again, like look at like, for example, Cardano. Let's look at Cardano just as an example. I can pull up the weekly chart. I mean, this is 2021. So it's like, we can call this a bull market, but I mean, it's down 60-70%. The top of this bull market in 2024, the price is still down 70% from the top in 2021. So what I'm saying is, and most of the tokens, just go and look on TradingView, most of the altcoins look exactly like this. So I think, yeah, it's a rotation market. And I actually tweeted, I'm sad I don't have it here, but I actually tweeted as well on the day of inauguration, January 20th. I said that this is going to be a rotation market. It's going to be a rotation market because it's going to be very difficult to trade as Trump comes in and with all the volatility. And I said 2025 is going to be investors' hell and traders' paradise, because you have to rotate. It doesn't mean you have to leverage trade, but it means that you have to rotate. And so this stands even now because you need to rotate. And I actually tweeted this about a month ago, and I said every pump in the next 30 to 90 days is there to trap you. This is also true. Every single pump that we had resulted in a flush. Every single one of them. So get used to it because it is coming. So I think ultimately, alt season is not coming. I don't think there's going to be an alt season that we've seen in 2021 and whatever, like this 2017 big alt season. I think it's going to be selected things as we've seen now. We had BNB season recently. Now we have perp decks. Then we had memes. Then we had, RWAs. Then we had AI. Like you had these different runs. Some narratives ran, some didn't. Some narrative lasted 2 days, some lasted maybe 5 weeks or 3 weeks. But ultimately, I think this is going to stay. So it's going to be a decoupling. Bitcoin is going to be going up always, as the S&P and the Nasdaq, if you have a long enough time horizon. And if you look at altcoins, they're going to completely decouple, and some of them are going to make it. Some of them going to have bull markets, but ultimately, I am very bearish on 90% of the altcoins.
Well, that's 90% of the altcoins are rubbish. I believe some of the altcoins will have a bull market, especially the institutional altcoins, the ones that the institutions are loading up on. I have a thesis on the altcoin why they didn't run. Just listening to a couple of things. One of them, obviously, there's the quantitative. This season there was accompanied with high interest rate and quantitative tightening, the whole thing. So it was pretty much Bitcoin only, selective alts that ran a little bit, but was Bitcoin only. Usually when the alt season happened, we have a more risk-on environment. We didn't have that now. We'll have it probably when the new chair comes and the quantitative tightening ending December. So that's one thing. And second thing, crypto always been like attracts people attention. When the people are, you can tell from the YouTube views, you can tell from the Twitter, you can tell from all that. When people are all on it, that's when the price starts performing and will go up and up and up. So we need the attention. And this year, I feel the attention went to AI. Like I'm not talking about your, I'm not talking about your AI shit coins. Don't worry about those, because every coin will put an AI end of it, and it has nothing to do with AI. I'm talking real AI. Like people's focus has been fully with NVIDIA, with all the Magnificent Sevens and their AI work, with China's AI. Like the attention is not in crypto. And I don't think it's going to come. Obviously, when the price starts moving up, the attention will come back. It will come back again towards the end of the year, beginning of next, when Jerome Powell is out. I think that's when the prices start going up, the narrative will come. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons people's attention went away. That's my thesis. I'm not sure if you agree or not, but that's one of the theses that I have.
Yeah. So for me, I finished. I did a bachelor's in user-driven innovation, and they always told us, okay, now you sit down and think about what problem does the user have to create a product. Don't start with the product. Start with the problem. And here I can say the same thing. Sit down and try to think with what the everyday TradeFi people will do. In my opinion, they will not go and say, there is this thing called XRP. I'm just going to invest my money in it because the newest Swift system on the planet. No, what they're going to do, they're going to say, okay, what has performed extremely well? Bitcoin. Okay, I'm going to put my money in Bitcoin. Maybe I'm going to put some cash into some of the tokens that I can get through an ETF, because if it made it into an ETF, it should be a legit coin, right? So that's going to be, I think, the thought process. I'm concerned that and I agree with you on the tightening, definitely. So the run that we had was in quantitative tightening, whereas in 2017, 2021, it was exactly the opposite. So yeah, we could see that as a signal for a massive alt rally and a massive pump in the market, which is, I think, happening. This is exactly. So I think Bitcoin is going. I genuinely think Bitcoin is going to 300 to 500,000 by the end of next year. That's my prediction. The reason is because exactly what I said about the liquidity, because exactly the Clarity Act is going to be passed. The framework is going to be there. Money printing, the big beautiful bill is coming into effect. Trillions of dollars will be printed. Rates will be cut. So everything is there for Bitcoin. Everything is there for Bitcoin to go at least $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 next year. But if you look at altcoins, yes, some selected altcoins will run because people are, they want to gamble and they want to make money and whatever. But in general, I just don't see how that would be sustainable because there's just no narrative. Like, yes, there will be AI and new AI coins will come in and people will go and hype and whatever. But in general, I just don't think that is a good enough reason for this smart money to actually ripple down into altcoins. One thing I will say, and I actually haven't said, I'm doing 3 interviews this week, and I haven't said this anywhere for some reason, I don't know why, but I'm going to say it now, that one of the main narratives that I'm actually very bullish next year, and I'm going to start loading up on, is exchange tokens. So great exchange tokens, because I do believe that next year is, if we are correct about the liquidity cycles and the $7 trillion and the big beautiful bill and the rate cuts, and if everything aligns, these companies have to go IPO. They have to. So all of the major exchanges have to do an IPO, because that's probably one of their last chances to actually milk this whole thing. And it makes a lot of sense. I'm talking about, all the major exchanges that do have a token. You can look at BitGet, you can look at OKX, you can look at any of the major exchanges that do have a token, Bitpanda with Vision. You can have all these exchanges that have a token and that are potentially going to go IPO next year. I think those are going to be one of the best buys early January, February. That's what I'm going to bet on, at least.
Okay, well, that's good feedback. Just want to say, I love the friendly banter you have between you and Ren on different theses. Sometimes when we're in like groups, friends, or channel or whatever, we become an echo chamber. We talk to each other regularly. We have same thoughts. The fact that you have disagreeing in a very respectful way, I think it's extremely healthy. Continue giving it to him, to be honest. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Finally, to wrap up, what's your best advice to the crypto community right now? How should the investor think over the next few months?
Trade or sit out. So I think, again, it's very important. You disappeared.
No, I put you. No, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Go. No, yeah, okay, cool. So I think for me, one of the big things is you have to evaluate what is your plan and what is more important for you. If you're 20 years old and if you have, maybe 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, whatever in Bitcoin, and you don't care, you're good, you just put it aside and you can wait 5 to 10 years, do it. Don't worry about it. Don't get out, do whatever you want to do. Just leave it as is. Bitcoin is going to recover, in my opinion. In my opinion, is not, even if it's going down to a 60% correction, history shows that it will recover and you will do extremely well. If you are with a lower capital and capital preservation, you're overexposed to the market and capital preservation is much more important for you, which I think it should be, then I would suggest you reconsider your tokens, your portfolio, your strategy coming to the market. I believe that trading money will do much more money in the next 3 to 6 months than holders' money. If you look at my post on October 18th, since then the market is down 50%. I sold 50% of my bags because I can just get back in anytime. And don't think that because we had a 50% drawdown, we can't have another 60% drawdown. Because I remember in 2021, 2022, actually, I lost everything in 2022. So much. I had $1.7 million. I woke up next day, I had 300,000 less. I woke up 5 days later, I had $500,000 less. So I had like $1 million after a month. And I was like, no, I'm not selling. I'm down 50%. $1 million, life-changing money. It was for me as well. And I didn't sell because I was down 50%. And then we know what happened. It became 700 and 400 and 200. And, so I'm not making the same mistake again. I'm preserving capital. And the fact that we're down 50% doesn't mean that we can't go down another 80% from here. Just be very cautious. Evaluate whether it's capital preservation is more important for you, whether you have time and you're in safe assets, meaning Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, maybe Solana. And yeah, just play it safe. I think a lot of people focus on, as a trader, what the last thing that I can say is that as a trader or investor, making money is what everybody's talking about, while capital preservation should be everybody's focus. And so you're not a good trader if you make money. You're a good trader if you're not losing money and you can make money at the same time. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate you.
No, Fefe, thank you. It was a pleasure having you on Badwi Crypto. Thank you for all your insight. I'm really sure that all the community appreciates it. Guys, make sure you check Fefe's channel. All the links are going to be in the description. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a like, share, and give us your thoughts in the comments. Fefe, thank you once again.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
See ya.